She is always looking for ways to share her motto in life: attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? So sit back and relax, open your mind, and get ready to stock your handbag with some practical tips and tricks that will help you to switch from just surviving to thriving. Margaret.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. What a pleasure to be back at the JCC. I was here just a couple of months ago for another wonderful event talking about the power of touch in children, and was stopped at the time by Jane and asked to come back and speak to you this morning, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. We're talking about wellness this morning, and I think all of us tend to judge a book by its cover. That's human nature. I want to briefly, and it's not a sad story, I totally believe that this has happened to me so that I have a voice and I can share it. To look at me, you may not think that I've experienced the following things. And once again, I want to make sure you realize I don't feel any way, shape, or form that I've been hard done by. But you're looking at a woman that has had 10 surgeries, 4 bowel obstructions, a lung collapse, a fecal transplant, yeah, like on Grey's Anatomy, now that's sexy, right? Poop transplant I had because I got C. difficile from being admitted to hospital for food poisoning 4 years ago, and got a hospital-borne infection, a very horrible form of C. diff. 30 weeks self-employed, flat on my back, going to the bathroom 50 times a day, 50. In ICU, spending your taxpayers' dollars twice because I almost died, and crying in my gastroenterologist's office saying, I can't take another antibiotic. It's killing me. I've taken $5,000 worth of antibiotics. It's not working. What are my options? And knowing me, because he refers patients to me all the time, he didn't have an answer. He said, well, try another antibiotic. And then I went home and was laying on my couch. My parents had to come into town to take care of my precious children. My husband had just broke his clavicle. This sounds like an absolute comedy. He had just broken his clavicle. And we needed help, thank goodness for parents, so they came into town. And I was sitting watching the National at 10 o'clock at night, flipping through the channels, and Peter Mansbridge broke a story about fecal transplants, and Dr. Thomas Louie, head of Calvary Foothills Hospital, the infectious disease department, and he was talking about how in various countries we don't have recurrent C. difficile issues, and people aren't dying from C. diff. They go to what is known as a fecal transplant, a poop transplant. I said, Dad, don't turn it. And I started to watch this. Tears streaming down my face, and I said to my dad, I have to do this. My phone rang, it was 10 o'clock at night. I knew right away who it was. It was my doctor, who I know really well. And I said, Vero, you're watching the National, aren't you? And he said, yeah, I am. And I said, I'm already on the computer. I've sent an email to Dr. Thomas Louie, and I'm flying to Calgary if I'm a candidate, because I have 2 young children, I have a full and wonderful life, and I'm not going to roll over and die from this, because the only option I have is to just sit back and hope this gets better. Long story short, my 12-year-old son, who is now 17, at the time, with tears in his eyes, said, Mommy, I'll be your donor, I don't want to see you die. Yeah? Can you imagine as a mom? I flew halfway across the country, and we cannot talk like girlfriends in here. One of my best friends lent me her cooler to put the big joke was, don't go to the Haagen-Dazs container in the basement for the next couple of days, because we were collecting fecal matter. And I flew halfway across the country with my son's poop in an ice cream container, with a letter, because I thought I'm going to be mortified when somebody at the airport says, oh, what you got in there? And I'm thinking, oh, please, just let me get through. And on the way over on the airplane, I was isolated into a laboratory because C. difficile is highly contagious. I went 50 times on the way over. I was a very sick lady, 104 fever. When I flew back 2 days later after a transplant, I went twice. Now, do you understand why I say I believe in complementary medicine? Do you know about 6 months ago, they announced in the Globe and Mail that they were doing a double-blind study, research study on fecal transplants. I got a big mouth. I'm in the media. I came home and I screamed from the rooftops. Oh, and by the way, the gastroenterologist who I called because I wanted to tear a strip off him for not telling me the week before that this was an option, because I have the right as a woman to choose what I want to do with my body. And you know what he said to me? He said, "Oh, well, you have my blessing." Eh? I said, "I wasn't calling for your blessing. I'm calling to tell you that it wasn't fair that you didn't tell me that this could be an option." And now he's my biggest cheerleader, and I've made a difference because I had a big, loud voice. And I spoke to gastroenterologists all across the country, and right now they're looking at not only fecal transplants being done on a hospital basis, so people that can't afford to fly themselves to another part of our country has this done. And that was done by the goodness of his heart. And I said to him, "What can I do for you, Dr. Louie?" He said, "Give money to my research," and that's exactly what I did. And my last piece of my wellness story, and then we're going to get to this, and this is a happy story, because I totally believe I was put on this planet, not to be tortured, although there's been days where we thought that, but because I believe I have a means in order to inspire, educate, and communicate a message to others, and to inspire women and men alike to recognize that you can make a difference with your own health and well-being. Your attitude can be contagious. You have a decision to make. And there's ups and downs. I'm not standing up here to tell you it's all easy. I went through menopause at 42. I'm 45. I haven't had a period in 3 years. My mom did the same. Thanks, Mom. And I said, I'm not shriveling up like a raisin at 42 and being this crazy woman. Now my family might think differently, because there's been a few times on the roller coaster ride. But what have I chosen to do? I've chosen to align myself and find some of the best people around. There's a wonderful doctor, and there are many, Dr. Christy Prouse, who does a lot of work. She's an OBGYN in Oakville, and she started her own clinic called the Hormonal Health Institute, because she too had issues with her own health and realized there's not enough in terms of the conventional medical community. She wasn't getting what she needed. So she decided to look at natural things, look at nutrition, look at, imagine, touch, various natural things to help. And she now runs a very, very successful clinic that I'm a patient of. And when I went to see her, she said, "Bravo, Margaret, you've done a lot of the work that I spent years trying to convince other women to do." So from that note, I only wanted to open this up because when I was 25 and stood out and talked to a chronic pain conference, and everybody looked at me, I was a national gymnast. I can fake it. I'm tough. But when you were diagnosed with an illness really young, and you go through all different kinds of things, and you have bowel issues, and all these other things that happen, you have a choice to make. And I've chosen to find a complementary way to help. If it wasn't for conventional medicine, I wouldn't be speaking to you. If it wasn't for complementary medicine, I wouldn't be speaking to you, and I wouldn't be thriving. So today, we only have 20 minutes. Oh my, I could spend 3 hours, 6 hours. I'm going to do some highlights just to stock. I thought it'd be fun to stock your handbag. This was all about being outside the diaper bag. So much fun. We're going to stock your handbag with some tips and tricks to get you switching from just surviving to thriving.